Nigeria's equities market closed bearish on Monday, dragged by heavy losses in the oil and gas sector. Oise Ajayi is a senior analyst at Meristem Securities, joins me to discuss the activities that will shape the trading today. Thank you so much for joining me on the show today, Oise. We saw the oil and gas index taking a beating on Monday when the last time the market was open, and it was down about 5%. I'd like you to speak to what kind of led to those sentiments.
Aside the general market being predominantly bearish, I mean, there was the news on Rwanda, and then we saw that tank by over 9% on Monday, and then we saw it close at about 3 naira 80 kobo. You know, the other stocks, Seplat has been, you know, moving, as we've seen some yo-yo movements on Seplat, although more to the downside. Mobil, Total as well haven't really been impressive as well. So that was a major driver for the oil and gas movement on Monday.
All right. When you look at also the activities around the oil market, so you see the price of Brent crude, we've seen that it's been taking a beating as well, and that's coming at the same time when this is happening. Do you see, and we don't see any respite because the oil and the sectors, the market's still down quite considerably from where it was about even compared to 2 weeks ago. Do you see any respite for the oil and gas sector, bearing the fact that the oil market is still trading?
Probably yes. Talking markets and talking the oil prices seem like two parallels up until the point of release of financials, and then you see the actual impact of that on the financials of these companies. But otherwise, what you see largely is market sentiment, because we really, from the outside, you really can't tell for sure the impact these oil price movements would be having on these companies directly or indirectly. So for the most part, I mean, for the market part, what we're seeing is market sentiment really. The general market has been down, and then the oil and gas hasn't been spared. In fact, no sector has been spared. MTN came in and then gave some respite to the general market for a bit, but then things have gone since sellers began. You know, the market has gone back to status quo, and then we've seen, continued sell downs by investors.
Another sector that was also down on Monday was the insurance sector. We see it was down about 1.6%. I'd like to look at the sentiment around the recapitalization. Do you think that's what is driving this as well?
It's possible. It's possible. I mean, they still have till about 2020 before that takes effect. So there's still sort of a long way to go. I mean, sometimes in the way you look at it, but right now it may not be having any significant impacts, because it's believed that these insurance companies, have some room to raise the required capital to engage in measures, acquisitions, and whatnot. So right now, like I said earlier, what we're seeing is just the market being the market, and then investors, tired of taking a beating, so they're pulling out. You see some upward price movements, and then people take profit because they're trying to cut their losses and then move on to other profitable investment vehicles. All
right, then looking at stocks that could shift the markets today, I'm looking at Owando. We also saw the news around that. We saw the court injunction they got on Monday as well, trying to restrain the SEC from taking out sanctions against the company. When you look at this, how do you see this impacting the stock going forward this week? This week
it seems like it's just going to be a downward spiral. Because, I mean, it wouldn't be the first time Owando is having regulatory issues. At some point, 2017, 2018, trading on the shares was suspended for a while, up until it came back, they lifted the suspension, and then, I mean, in fact, it was, these findings that have just come out, were part of the reasons there was a suspension placed on trading of the shares. And it was lifted. We saw some upward price movements on that. And then it's back again. It's about 3 naira 80 kobo, close about 3 naira 80 kobo. And then I think at this point, investors, are tired of going back and forth with the company. Oh, maybe we think there might be some respite. Maybe we think, they could do something good. I mean, they've been posting, some good profits for a while now. But I don't think investors want any parts of that anymore. So from here on now, it's very likely going to be a downward spiral.
Okay, now let's look at the performance of the general markets in this second quarter. I'm seeing the consumer goods are down about 11%, banks are down about 10%, oil and gas down about 9%, industrial goods down about 8.5%, and then the insurers are down just 4.5%. When you look at the broad spectrum of how the market has been shaping up, do you see this turning the corner in the third quarter?
Maybe not. Maybe not. I mean, for the most part, we saw poor earnings releases from most of these companies, but especially in the consumer goods sector, even in the oil and gas sector. The results weren't so impressive, and then investors reacted to that, as we expected. They reacted to that, and then we saw continued sell-offs in these markets. I mean, you have the fixed income market where you are really not going to lose any of your money. It's basically risk-free. So investors have continuously moved, restructured their portfolios to accommodate more of the fixed income instruments than the equities because of the way the market has performed all year round. The results didn't help matters. Regulatory issues as well with several companies, the insurance capitalization, and then just general market sentiment really hasn't helped the market. And then at the point at which MTN came in, it seemed like the market was going to make a turnaround, and then we saw the year-to-date return go from largely negative to being just slightly positive. But sell-offs began on that, and then we've seen the market go back to where it was. And then the MTN saga, we would have expected it would bring some positive sentiment into the general market, but that wasn't the case. MTN was the only stock that benefited from its listing. The positive sentiment on MTN didn't spread into other companies, save for Dangote Cement, which moved up from about 178 naira to about 215. Aside Dangote Cement, which moved up like that, no other stock enjoyed that upward price movement, or no other stock that could move the market enjoyed the upward price movement. And then even Dangote has come back down to about 198, 199 naira. MTN is down to about 136 naira as well. So going forward, the outlook is still not great.
All right, then we'll keep our eyes and see how the market goes out today. Thank you so much for your time on the show today. I've been speaking to Oise Ajayi. He's a senior analyst at Meristem Securities.